This video was brought to you by Stormberg, a better route planner, MisterGreen, Kempower and Marcus Bil. Yo, what's up? We're now sitting in the MG ZS EV, the new one, the refreshed one, the facelift one, the new shit. Yes, so this is a 72 kilowatt hour. I think it's called a luxury trim, top trim. And in this video, I'm gonna give you guys the driving impression, the summary, everything I know about this car after spending about a week with it. First thing you will hear is that the wipers are squeaky. Yeah, but this is a Chinese car, so maybe they don't have rain in China. Yeah. Well, how is my light, by the way? Is this better? I would like this. Yeah, I think actually this is better, right? Check here. Yeah, okay. You can see a little bit of interior here. The carbon fiber leather. Oh, I like the carbon fiber leather. But yeah, so how is this new MG ZS EV compared to the old one? Well, first of all, the first thing you will notice is the front. It doesn't have that fake grille anymore. And under the hood, under the floor almost, you will find 72 kilowatt hour instead of, I don't know how much it was initially, 44 kilowatt hour. So that's roughly 50% increase in battery size. So I have tested this car, of course, in 1,000 kilometer challenge, and it turns out that it is schnell. So the old one was the fourth slowest car ever tested in 1,000 kilometer challenge. It was 14 hours and 40 minutes. Took a long time. The car was inefficient. It was charging dog slow. This one, the new one, is way better. 11 hours and 20 minutes, even during winter. So maybe on the summer run, it can be as low as 11 hours. And that puts it right in the upper half, you know, closer to 10 hours. So it makes it a lot better because it has more range, it charges faster. Yeah, maybe it's also a little bit more efficient. But also it has gotten some more grunt, some more oomph. Wait, I mean, let's put the car in sport mode maybe. Sport, okay, sport mode has been engaged. Wait, huh? I thought I was gonna come here one at night and it would be empty. Oh, yeah, you see, this car, okay, it has also gained some weight, so it is a little bit heavier than the old one. I think it was around 120, 140 kilograms more. But also with more power, then it is still fairly quick. So let me put it back to normal. I'm going to use MG Pilot now. Okay. So the MG Pilot does a fairly good job of staying in the lane. However, it will sometimes do some weird shit like just give up. And okay, now I'm not holding it still. I'm just showing you guys. It will kind of just give up and then go towards one of the sides. But one thing you will notice is that as long as I hold my meat on the steering wheel, it will be dead silent. And also when I disengage it, and when I engage it, you don't hear any ding dong. So remember that this is a Chinese car. So typically Chinese cars, they will ding dong at you, or say, well, there's like a typical checklist of what is wrong with Chinese cars, mainly software. Chinese cars will ding dong at you all the time, you know, bling bling dung dung, LCCD activated. You know, it's an X-Pilot LCCD activated. Yeah, but also, you see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You know, it will just do the jerky movement, and I did double tap on it to enable MG Pilot. So if you let it drive, you will see that it does this weird, what the heck are you doing? Are you drunk, bro? Yeah, so that's the MG Pilot in its best form. But what I'll tell you is that also the problem with many Chinese cars is that when you use the auto steer and the adaptive cruise control, when you come into curves, it will slow down like a freaking Toyota driver. This one doesn't do it, almost doesn't do it. There are some curves where it slows down a little bit, but just a little bit. But like I've driven bigger, more expensive, more powerful cars, like the Hongxi or the BYD Tang, and they slow down in the curves, and it is super annoying. This one doesn't do it, but it did do it before, and it did bing at you before. You know, and there were other things also with this car that was, you know, bad before, but it's not that bad anymore. So that is a good thing about MG, because I believe that they have been watching my videos and also been taking feedback from me and other people. Oh, forgot to turn on the headlight. And they have actually improved the software to be more more tuned towards European drivers. And that is good, because when you drive a German car, let's say a Mercedes or a BMW, you will notice that they don't ding dong at you unless there's something important. Oh, fancy daily. Yeah. So I like it. I actually like this MG a lot. The old one, okay, the old one had a smaller battery and all that. But the new one, I feel like is a lot better. It's not just what I mentioned about bigger battery, faster charging. It also has better headlights. The old one had halogen lights. This one has now LED lights, and it's also better, more powerful, better spread. But the halogen itself doesn't have to be bad, but it's just that the halogen light in the old MG was bad. But also the interior has gotten some upgrade, like I mentioned, the carbon fiber leather. And also the seats, by the way. The old seats were a little bit hard, too hard for my choice. Maybe very sturdy. The new one is softer, more comfortable, and also with the old one I felt like after a while when I was sitting there I felt butthurt. With the new one, even after doing range test and 1,000 kilometer challenge, spending lots of time with the car, I did not feel butthurt at all. So that is good. What else is it? Yeah, we now have USB-C, and also if you notice here, this is a brand spanking new infotainment, and it's better than before, except for that it has bugs still. Yeah, there are some annoying bugs. Let me see, maybe I cannot show you right now because it's actually not buggy. Yeah, there are some bugs. For example, at night, I turn down the brightness to the lowest, but when I come into the car, it's still kind of bright. I'm like, huh? Didn't I turn it down to the lowest? And then what I do is that I turn it up and then down, and then it becomes darker. For example, that's one of the bugs I discovered. I don't remember all the bugs with this car, but okay, wait, swipe it up, swipe. There, okay. But at least they have done some improvements also in the instrument cluster. You can now see if you twist or if you click over here, you will now see a trip meter with distance, time, average speed, and consumption for that trip, and you have 2 trip meters. This is the way it works with Western cars. Even the Korean cars work like this. And before, I don't remember how MG was, but typically Chinese cars, they will not have this kind of trip meter when you can reset a trip and then you see how long or how the stats is. It's more like in the BYD Tang, is that it's like a rolling average. Oh, Xpeng also, Xpeng P7 and G3. You just have a rolling average for the past 50 kilometers because I guess that's what the Chinese people do, right? The Chinese people just want to measure for the last 50 kilometers. They don't have trips, the Chinese. Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. So, but I feel like MG, they have been listening to the customers and maybe some super users, and they have changed the software and tuned the software to be more user-friendly for Europeans. So again, I keep repeating myself, but it's important to emphasize that I feel like this new MG feels and works way better than before. Okay, it's not perfect, okay, not get me wrong, it's not perfect, but still. What else is it? When it comes to range test, I also measured it to be very good. Even during winter, it was getting around 350 kilometers of range. That is quite decent, considering that this MG is relatively, well, I wouldn't say a cheap car, but it's relatively inexpensive. Okay, nowadays the prices on every car out there, EVs also, everything has gone up in price. But despite that, this car, depending on if you go for the lower trim or the higher trim, you can get it for 318k NOK or around 350k NOK. And that is actually a good price for a car with roughly, what is supposed to be 72 kilowatt hour. I managed to get around 67 something, roughly 68 kilowatt hour after losses and everything. That is a good price. So in my opinion, this car is good bang for the bucks. But okay, so now I'm gonna go to the Big and Haug and we're gonna test. And by the way, yeah, when it comes to the ride, that might be one of the maybe the not so good points with this car. Okay, it's comfortable, don't get me wrong, but it has this, I'm not sure how to put it. Maybe it's that it has this short wheelbase ride. So over bumps, it doesn't feel as comfy as other cars with longer wheelbase, or even, well, I guess even maybe German cars that have different suspension. So, but it's still comfortable. It doesn't, I mean, the bumps doesn't hit you in the spine like a Tesla, but it's just that you kind of, I don't know how I'm gonna explain it, but you're gonna feel like it doesn't have the same ride comfort, ride quality as some of the more premium cars. But remember that this is a cheap Chinese car, so for that price, I think it's still pretty good. I don't remember how the old one was, because the new one, remember that it's heavier than the old one, so maybe they have done something with the suspension to match the increased weight. This one, the old one was, actually I don't remember the weight, but I think it was around 1700 kilograms now, and it was 1600 before. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I mean, it's still a comfortable car, but I remember actually when you go on the motorway and you go kind of schnell, and when you go over some hard bumps, there is this weird feeling where, you know, it's front wheel drive. It's almost like the car almost jumps over the bump a little bit, and then maybe the front will spin. I'm not sure, but you can kind of feel like this, that it's not the bump you feel. It's like a bump plus some kind of rotational force on the wheel. So, yeah, I feel like they might not have tuned the suspension and then, whoa, what the heck is this? What? Instabox. Okay, whatever, let's see. Oh, well, that was nicely done. Okay, let's go a little bit faster. Yeah, that was actually okay. You know, like I mentioned, it doesn't kill your spine when you go over those bumps. Okay. Turning circle, oh, might not be the best. Oh, that's another ZS EV. Oh, yeah, Bjørn, how they sell ZS EV. But you also feel you can feel the wag, yeah. I mean, it's, after all, it's still a crossover. It's not a sedan. So let me actually do the test here. Let me see, let me just go over here. Yeah, this is why I want to do this at night. One at night. No traffic. We have a Continental Viking Contact 7 tires. Hammer a little bit. Okay, let's see. No one here, right? It's a little bit slippery, so I'm not sure if I can do all that maneuver. Yeah, you see, when you move, when you want to change direction. Yeah, so it kind of wags like a boat. Just have to bear that in mind. It's not a sporty car, but yeah, it is what it is, a crossover. At least it's comfy-ish, yeah. But it's not bothering me really, this kind of ride. You get, the thing is that when I sat in here, yes, I noticed that, oh, this is a bit different than the sedan that I drove right earlier or something. But once you get used to, also, yeah, I was also driving Aria. Aria, of course, has better ride comfort than the ZS, but Aria is also more expensive. But the thing is that once I got used to the ZS after driving a little bit, then you get used to it and it doesn't bother you. I think that's important, that as long as you get used to it and it doesn't bother you, then no big deal, right? But for example, again, in a Tesla Model Y, with the old suspension, I didn't really get used to the harsh suspension. Like every time I went over a bridge gap, bam, I was like, oh shit, my spine is dead. Oh. Yeah, okay, let's get over here. So, and then when it comes to soundproofing, unfortunately, I was not able to do a proper measurement there. And also, you will notice that I haven't done an acceleration and noise test. I tried to do it, but it was just raining too much and it would not give me a good measurement. So I kind of gave up on it. But also, that test is not watched too much anyway. So, yeah. So at least what I can tell you is that it's not the most quiet car out there. This one, you can kind of hear it, but it's also not the noisiest car out there. So it's right in the middle there. And given the price of this car, then it actually makes it pretty good. You know, you would expect when you pay lots of money for a BMW or an Audi or a Mercedes that they are quiet, and they are quiet. They are more quiet than this one. But when you pay almost some of the lowest price for this, and you still get okay soundproofing, then you should, what I'm saying is that when you pay lower price for a car, you also lower your expectation for many things. But then I am positively surprised by many features, like the soundproofing. Space here, by the way, is also pretty good, just like the old one. They haven't changed anything of that one. So what is it else to say? I'm gonna, okay, I'm gonna show you guys some more stuff. We have to hammer a little bit around in the, over there, yeah. That's a fat e-tron, by the way. Yo, what's up? Yeah. So the fat e-tron, of course, is more expensive. It's German, it has better ride, way better comfort, better soundproofing, more power. But I almost feel like this little burger here can keep up with the fat e-tron when we accelerate, because it's so light. The fat e-tron is so heavy. So of course, it's still an inexpensive car, but I feel like you get so much for the money, and you don't. I mean, as long as you want to get, you want to have a car that can take you from A to B, then this one is perfect. But it's not just like a shitty car. For example, let me see. I'm trying not to step on someone's toes here, but okay, I'm gonna be brutally honest. I was never a fan of Zoe. Zoe is a cheap car, yeah. Now it turns out that they have 1 star and 0 stars in Euro NCAP. It's also freaking dangerous. But you see, Zoe was a cheap car, but I felt like it was also shitty in many ways. It was charging slow. You couldn't have the heater on when you were fast charging. Also, the old version didn't even have DC fast charging. The interior was quite shitty. You see, so Zoe was shitty in many ways, but it was cheap, right? But this one is not that shitty. I feel like it's almost like an Ioniq, because the Ioniq was also, the classic Ioniq, was also fairly inexpensive, but it was also so good in many ways. So this is like the Ioniq's brother from another mother, in a way. But okay, I'm going to talk more about the ride, the driving experience now. So I don't know if you noticed, okay, I'm still in normal mode. But even in normal mode, you can still get the power. I measure it, okay, I don't have it now, I have wrapped down, but you can use car scanner. Yeah, the app I've been using many times is called Car Scanner. So I use Car Scanner. I can see on Car Scanner that when you floor it, I will actually get a slight peak at 150 kilowatt, and then it drops to 140, and then it's kind of hovers at 130 kilowatts. So you can actually, the peak power is as high as 150 kilowatt. And then in Tesla's world, they tend to supply the peak power, right? Or some other cars. So in a way, you could actually get something close to 200 horsepower then peak, but then more continuously you get the rated 100 and how much was it you get now? It was 145 in the old one. I wonder if now there was 173 or something. Yeah, excuse me, I should have known all this. I know, should have done my homework, but it's just that I test so many cars nowadays, so I just can't get all the details with me. But so even in the normal mode, in the non-sport mode, the car, just like the MG5, you guys remember I tested recently, they seem to have been tuned the same way, front wheel drive, and allows a little bit of slip on the wheel. I like it, unlike for example the MEB cars, where once it detects some slip, it just cuts all the power, and then that's no fun. So I'm going to show you here. Okay, it will, yeah, I don't know if you hear that. Okay, let me just drive around here a little bit at night. This is why I prefer the night. No traffic, no Polizei. Okay, that guy is gone. Okay, we can do this one also. Now there, okay, there the position, the weight distribution was a little wrong. So when I floor it, the car figured out, okay, no power for you. But at least if we go here and then, I mean, it's still so much fun car to drive, and I guess it will be even better when you drive it on the dry and if you have summer tires. But yeah, this is still good fun. Oh, let me just, yeah, that was lane change, then lane departure thing. So. Oh man, so I think the reason why it's so much fun to drive is because it allows a little bit of slip, and the wheel, this car, the MG always had plenty of torque versus some of the other cars. If you look at the spec sheet, I don't remember how much torque. I think it was over 300 Newton meter of torque. Some of the other cars with maybe similar horsepower, they will have roughly 250 to 270 Newton meter of torque only. And that high torque makes it fun. Yeah. So, and also, yeah, another thing that makes this car nimble is that it's not that heavy. So roughly 1,700 kilograms, I think it was, is for an EV with 72 kilowatt hour battery. It's actually pretty good. I think it's on par with maybe Kona, e-Niro, and those cars. But you know, as long as you stay way below 2 tons, then you don't need that much power, and you can still have a lot of fun with the car, like I'm doing right now. So other than that, what should I say? The interior here, okay, they made some small improvements, but they still have the same layout and everything. There's one thing I don't like is that, what the heck is in here? It's like the center shaft here, right? Which many typical fossil cars are designed to be, and they still haven't opened up the center area here. So that's a little bit bummer, because EVs, I see more and more modern EVs, well, like Aria I tried recently, it's more open here. Or as many Chinese cars, they will have the 2 level where you have a top level, like a bridge with some buttons and whatever, and then you have a lower level where you can put like a shelf, right? You can put your shit there. This one doesn't have it, so I still feel like it's based on the old design. But by the way, without having tested the MG4 yet, I reviewed the MG4 interior and I found it to be kind of shitty compared to this MG ZS EV. So the MG4 was just lots of hard plastic, and it was cramped in the back, and the trunk was tiny. Here you get, you know, more soft materials all over the place, and you get more space in the trunk. So I feel like, okay, people are just going crazy about the MG4, and the MG4 is a better, newer platform that charges faster and possibly also more efficient, and it's rear-wheel drive, just the way EV should be. This one is front-wheel drive because it's based on old fossil design. So the MG4 is possibly a better car technically, or especially MG4 is, I assume, a better EV. But the MG4 is also a worse car when it comes to interior and space. So yeah, just bear that in mind if you consider MG4 versus MG ZS EV. So the MG4 in Norway is priced lower than ZS, but you know, MG4 is a sedan. So I heard that it's supposed to be quite fun to drive and all that. It's, you know, sits low and all that, rear-wheel drive, you know. Whereas this one it is what it is, a crossover. But at least I feel like when I'm sitting here, I'm touching buttons and stuff, and I feel like this is more premium. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, right? It's the cheap Chinese car, but yeah, it feels more premium than the old one, and it feels like, it almost feels more premium than the MEB cars, you know. Well, but any car has better interior than the ID3, ID4, right? Yeah, no, but yeah. So overall, I'm actually quite impressed of the ZS EV, how it performs. I can tell you that, by the way, that charging-wise, the ZS has this preheating thing that you can preheat. There's a dedicated preheat battery button. I'm not sure how it works, because when I use it for 1,000 kilometer challenge, it wasn't really giving me the massive preheat I was expecting. But the battery did preheat by itself by just driving. But also when I tried it today on the range test, and I arrived with low battery, and I think it was 15 degrees Celsius only, 15 to 18 degrees, the car was still receiving maximum speed at 88 kilowatts. So it seems like maybe they put enough cobalt in here or whatever, but it seems like it doesn't Colgate that much. You can still have semi-cold battery and it will work just fine. And also the 88 kilowatt, at least if the battery is warm enough, you only need around 20-ish degrees Celsius. You can actually receive the maximum speed, 88 kilowatt, until 52%. And then it has a very gentle drop. So it has a nice and flat charging curve. Very impressive compared to the old one. One thing I did notice, by the way, was that it could seem like this car slightly rapid gates. So when I purposely tried to hammer it, to yo-yo it, to heat up the battery to 27 to 34 degrees, and I started charging, then it seems like it overheats and it then throttles down. Yeah, well, actually it didn't seem like it was actually doing it. And I wonder how it's going to be in summer. But the worst thing is that the cooling didn't kick in, and I didn't run the heater. Well, it just supposedly it has PTC, it doesn't have heat pump. So even if I run the heater, it doesn't interfere with the cooling. So that is a bummer. I need to, of course, investigate some more, but I think for most normal people, they would not notice the rapid gate anyway. And if it was rapid gating, it's just a very gentle rapid gate. It's not like Leaf, you know, it's not going to go 20 kilowatts. So you will still get 88 kilowatt and then 70 kilowatt, a little bit like that. So yeah. But I guess also eventually I'm going to test this car in Thailand. But the Thai version has 50 kilowatt hour battery, which is actually good because in Norway they only sell, as far as I know, they only sell the 72 kilowatt hour. Because Norwegians are so filthy rich people, so even a poor man's car for them has the biggest battery. But I heard that in other countries they will also offer the 50 kilowatt hour version, and in Thailand only the 50 kilowatt hour version is available. So yes, I need to test that one to see how fast it charges, how much range you have, and so on. But at least what I can say is that with the 72 kilowatt hour that I've tried here, it's good. It's very good. It actually like what kind of rivals do we have here? We have, for example, Kia Niro EV, roughly the same battery size. Niro seems to be more efficient, but the ZS charges faster, and the ZS is also cheaper, roughly 100,000 NOK cheaper than the Niro. So what other competitors do we have? ID3 maybe? I'm not sure, but all I can say is that this car seems to be one of the best best value for money. So Niro might have more power, maybe Niro has other features, right? But just considering the price on this ZS makes it actually really, really good, and the car is already good. So, you know, okay, like I said, when you pay a lower price for a car, you also lower the expectation of how it is. You don't expect it to be super powerful or have lots of range and all that. But despite the low price, I still feel like you get a very good car for the money. So but what about the problems with this car? I actually did not run into any problem this time when I did 1,000 kilometer challenge. Okay, like I said, it's a little bit cramped in here. The cup holder here is in an incredible stupid position, because when I have a bottle here and I want to just do stuff, the bottle gets in the way here. So the cup holder here is kind of silly. I don't know how they should have placed it though. I don't know how, somehow when I drive other cars, I'm not annoyed by the position of the cup holder. But other than that, the car is actually pretty good. Yeah, so I think that's going to be it. Did I forget anything? Yeah, okay, I forgot to mention, by the way, course, regen. Yeah, I always forget about that. But the regen, let me go a little drive again. So the regen is by default set to 3, which is the highest one. Course is set to 3, which is good. But it tends to set stuff to default. For example, every time you drive, it will set the distance to the maximum and you will forget about it. But I prefer to have it on the closest distance, following distance for AGC. So that is a small bummer, but at least the regen, I feel like it's strong enough. But maybe, yeah, let me just show you here. Okay, go schnell and then let off. And you can feel like it's fairly strong. Maybe not one pedal drive, because eventually you see that it doesn't go all the way. It takes forever to slow down. So it's not that one pedal drive feel like you have in other cars. But it's still strong enough. But I feel like actually, for my taste, I would prefer even stronger regen, because you can always just use the throttle to adjust your regen. But other than that, I think the way it has been kind of set up and tuned is already pretty good. Maybe not perfect, but pretty good. There you go, park. So yeah, okay, I think that's gonna be it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, thank you for watching, and talk to you later.